welcome to the show, Shay. So happy to have you here. Tell us a
Thank
little bit about what is a love diva, because just meeting you, I can already tell you are one. Where did that name come from?
Well, it's so funny because I did a dating experiment where I went on 100 dates
Oh my
in
gosh.
3 months, and I interviewed over 4,000 men, women, and couples because I kept bombing at love. And I made a promise to my daughter when I found myself a single mom, with a blessing in the form of a child. I promised her that she was going to be able to see mommy get it right and see what love really looks like.
Mm.
So when I did this dating experiment, I was recording the videos and posting them on YouTube. And I got so good at it. I discovered the formula that I was able to get any man I wanted in less than 30 days. And I was dating so
Okay,
much
snap,
that they
snap.
started to
Okay.
call, yes. So they started calling me the date diva. And then
Oh,
when I got
okay.
married, right. And then when I got married, my husband was like, you can't be the date diva anymore. So then we changed it to the love diva.
Okay, so you just referred to something called a formula, which just perked my interest. What is the formula to getting any man to love you? Whoa, hello. Everyone's like turning up the volume, leaning in closer. What is that formula?
The first thing that women must understand is that dating is a biochemical process. Love is a science. And when you understand that love is a science and you act accordingly, then you can date in your power. So there are 6 phases to every relationship, and there's a biochemical process as a man starts to fall for a woman. So that a woman knows how to intentionally trigger this man to fall for her, so that she knows how to be able to select the right option for her. So I can go into the details if you would like me to about the science. And based on that science is how I was able to come up with this formula that I perfected over 2 decades that has a 98% success rate for helping any woman, no matter what she looks like, her size, her age, or number of children, to be able to attract her romantic best friend in less than 30 days.
Wow. So you just said a
Mhm.
lot there that I want to unpack. So there's 6 steps to making this magic formula come together. There's science behind it, which I love because I practice the Gottman method and it's evidence-based. So you
He's
had me at
awesome. Yeah.
science. And then we all want to know how to make people love us, even if we don't want to do anything with them. We just like that feeling. So what are the steps? Tell me about that. I mean, if like, is there like a formula that you give them, like step one, find guy? Like, what does that look like?
Right. So there are steps. The first step is healing your love blocks, because if you have
Mm,
love blocks, there is no absolute way on earth you're going to be able to attract the kind of healthy love that you desire. The second step is to amplify and increase your feminine energy. When a woman is able to stand in her feminine power, then she becomes magnetic to masculine men who want to do pour and give to her. And then the second step is being able to align energetically using the law of attractions, quantum leaping, and other methods to be able to energetically align with their soulmate. And then the next step is being able to use the art of dating, conscious dating, to use dating as an interview process to selecting and vetting the right man for you. And then last is the relationship, how to sustain and cultivate a relationship so it lasts for a lifetime instead of just a minute.
so tell us first 2 concepts I want to circle back to that I know that people are going to want to talk about. I know what feminine energy is. Explain what feminine energy is and how do you know when you're not in it?
That is such a great question. I think that there's so much confusion around this. So let me start with this. Feminine energy can exist in a man or a woman. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
some men that are feminine at the core who prefer other men. And if they aren't dating a man who's in his masculine energy, then that's going to work to his disadvantage. There are
Mm,
some women who are masculine at the core, women who prefer other women are more masculine at the core. And then that means they're going to be dissatisfied attracting a masculine woman. She's going
mm,
to want a more feminine woman. So
mm,
I speak to women who are feminine at the core, women who are usually high achievers, who are very successful, who were told the lie that if you think like a man, act like a man, and date like a man, that you would be successful. And they
mm.
did all of those things, but what works in the boardroom doesn't work in the bedroom of relationships. So then they found themselves frustrated attracting man babies and men who were narcissistic and who weren't willing to serve their needs, who weren't willing to pour into them. So when you're operating in your feminine energy, think of the word diva. You know, diva gets a bad rap, but it stands for divine, operating in your divine energy. Being a woman of intelligence, being proud of being intelligent instead of dumbing yourself down in order to appease a man. Being vivacious, energetic, the kind of woman who's magnetic to any man because of that feminine energy. And then last, being alluring, using your sensuality, not your sexuality, to be able to attract a quality relationship. A woman who's in her feminine energy, she's in touch with her intuition, her emotions, her higher self. And so that allows her to stand in a power when it comes to her career, when it comes to her love life, when it comes to her health, that is not accessible when she's not in her feminine energy.
I like this idea because I talk with my clients a lot about this idea that sometimes we as women, especially when we're entrepreneurs or highly successful, that we get into our male energy to do the tasks that we need to do to run our business. And that the majority of us want a partner because it helps us click into our feminine energy, because we can't spend all of our time in our masculine energy. And that's why we want a partner, right? Is we want to be in that feminine energy. So I know that you coach a lot of your clients. Do you have tips for noticing, hey, I've accidentally switched over to my masculine energy? That's not going to fly with the man that I want to be with. What do I do to ground myself enough to then get back into that feminine energy? Do you have tips for your clients?
Here's the thing, like I think a lot of women think it needs to be either or, right? And understand across the board, we're both. For women who are feminine at the core, she wants to be, what I found in my 20 years of research is that when a woman is 70% minimum in her feminine energy, 30% masculine, then not only is she able to operate at the highest level in her career, in her life, but she's also able to attract a man who can pour into her feminine energy. She's not as drained. You know, there's also biochemical repercussions to not being in your feminine energy. Because when you're more in your masculine energy, it suppresses your estrogen. And as you know, when you drive down estrogen, you increase cortisol, which increases the risk of hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, vaginal dryness, weight gain. So there's all kinds of negative effects, especially for a woman who dates a man who's more in his feminine energy. Then that drains her and it drives her more into her masculine energy, which also leads to the biochemical effects that I mentioned earlier. So for women to understand that you can and are more successful when you are in your feminine power, but instead of you being drained, you are actually fulfilled. You actually thrive in it. You're magnetic. You attract opportunities and everything else that you want.
So what I think I hear you saying is, if you find yourself feeling like you're parenting your man, more often than not, you're taking care of things, you're doing all the laundry, you're making the money, you're like organizing the life, you're dragging this person through life, that maybe you think you're in your feminine energy, but you're really in your masculine, and you just all kinds of confused.
Exactly. And when you think that you need to shoot your shot, or you need to think you need to chase a man, or when you think that it's passive for you to trust that you can simply attract a man, that you are the prize. And as the prize, the right man will gladly rise up to claim you, that you deserve somebody who's willing to pursue and earn your heart and claim you as the prize that you are. And so when you start to operate in that energy, then you become absolutely irresistible.
I like that. Okay. All right, great. So that's great. I know that you teach the art of seduction. I love these. I checked out your website. It's very beautiful, by the way. And you have lots of like terms that I'm like, ooh, I gotta talk to you about this. So art of seduction, tell me about that.
Okay. So when I say the art of seduction, you know, now I have to say the art of ethical seduction, because seduction has such a bad rap, you know. Seduction for women started to become a negative terminology because men see a woman who is in her feminine power and able to influence him, which is what seduction is being in your feminine energy and having the ability to influence. And
Okay.
so a lot of men felt threatened by this. You hear stories about Samson and many other stories about the siren in Greek mythology and so many other stories where women had this bad rap for controlling a man in a way that he couldn't
Yeah.
control himself. And
Right.
so that's where seduction got its negative rap, but it really isn't. When a woman is able to practice the art of seduction, then she increases her options, for one. And for two, she nurtures a man in a way that makes him crave her, that makes him
Mm.
want to pursue her, that makes him want to make her happy, that makes him want to pour into her. And I always tell a woman that the seduction doesn't stop after you get the man. I still seduce my husband. We've been married for 8 years. I've known him since I was 14 years old. Like, he's still being seduced. And he's like, that seduction stuff works. Like, I want to do whatever you want me to do because I stay seducing him.
Because you're continuing to date your partners, basically what you're saying. You continue to appreciate that once you get it, that's not the end of the story. We have to keep choosing our partner every day, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
basically what you're
but not
saying.
only that, there's literal techniques to being able to seduce a man. Like, one of the things that I tell women, that's like one of the dark secrets, right? Is that every man has one of four insecurities. Every man has one of six human needs. Tony
Okay.
Robbins talks about these six human needs, but I've been able to teach it in a way where when you meet that need, that man can't help but to want to serve you. Like,
You're going to
he's
tell us
not.
about these needs, aren't you? Come on. We're hanging on the edge of our seat. What are these needs, love?
So we have certainty, the need to know that they can depend on you, that they can trust you, that they
Okay.
can stand and know that they feel safe with you. Then there's a need for uncertainty, variety, knowing that you're not just going to be predictable all the time. A man needs
Mm,
to wonder a little bit what your next step is. He also needs the fear of losing you. The
mm.
next need is the need for significance, feeling important, feeling valued. A lot of women have a hard time with this, especially women who are highly in her masculine energy, because she feels like it takes something from her to make her man feel like a king. But when you pour in a man that way, then you get it 10 times back. The
Gotcha.
next need is loving connection, being able to connect with somebody, being able to allow them to feel loved by you, seen by you. And then the needs of the soul, which Tony Robbins says is growth and contribution, the ability to help that person to grow, to become a better person, and the need to allow them to contribute to you so that you can be able to grow and become a better person. I teach my students at Diva University and Boss Diva University how to meet these needs in a man that serves and fills him and also meets your own needs. And what I've found is that when a woman's able to do this effectively, you will have this man hooked on you for life, literally.
I like that. And I want to clarify for those that are listening that what you're saying is this is not a game. You're not playing games with your partner, right? You're not doing that like, let me wait 3 days before I call you. You're doing this like, this is authentically who you are so that this person can't help but be attracted to you because it's authentic. And then those four needs just sort of organically happen and you guys are pulled together like magnets, is what I think I
I
hear
am
you say.
so glad you're clarifying that, because that is such a good point. You're absolutely correct. Because I always tell women, get a life. Like, you should be dating 3 men at a time.
Okay, what is that?
And
What does that do? Help those that are not dating the 3 men at a time. Why, Shay, with all the spare time that we have, should we be like trying to find 3 guys at the
I
same time?
know,
That
like, you
sounds
have
like a
nothing to
nightmare.
do, right? Stay busy and keep dating 3 men at a time. So here's the deal, right? You have girlfriends. You have multiple. You have, usually women have more than one girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, when you're dating a man, all you're doing is you're interviewing. If you were looking for a job, would you just interview one job, or would you interview multiple jobs looking for the right and perfect job for you? If you weren't interviewing more than one job at a time, how would you know if that job was the best option for you? How would you know you got the most benefits, the highest pay option? How would you know if you weren't entertaining more options? And then, you know what happens when you entertain more than one job? Then the job that really wants you is like, wait a minute, do you have another job offer? And you're like, well, actually, I do. Well, what are they offering you? Oh, well,
Oh, so
actually, they're offering me.
we should tell the other two people that we're dating Multiple.
Here's the funny thing. According to Dr. Luann Brizendine, the way the male brain works is that he will know instinctively, and it will drive up his testosterone, and it will drive his desire to pursue you even stronger. Men
Mm.
can sense when they're not the only one. They can sense when you're not just readily available to them, which makes them desire you more, which makes them want to prove their value to you more, which in the end, that ends up being a man who sees you as a prize. Your stock
So
value
again,
goes.
it's not game playing. It's that because you're looking at your options, you're going to be able to have better perspective. Is this person really checking those boxes? Because I just went out with two other people over the weekend who that one checked that box, that checked this box. You check the
Yeah,
most boxes. So maybe I'll like
yes.
take one off the roster.
And you know what else? It helps you to learn about you,
Yeah, for
what you
sure.
like, what you don't like, what you want. Sometimes you think you want something in a man, and then you discover, you know what, I don't really want that.
Mhm.
And it's because you gave yourself an opportunity to explore more options. It's this just like going to look for a house. You might think you want to have a sunroom in your house, but then you realize that it makes the house too hot and you don't want that particular sunroom. And it's the same thing with a man. So when a woman is dating 3 men at a time, she's actually doing it for herself. And no, you don't owe a man your exclusivity without his commitment. So you are free to vet men, because this is the issue that I have found that women run into a lot. They don't know what dating is. They don't
Mm.
understand that dating is an interview process. It is a vetting process. That is where you are dating for data collection to see if this man is worthy of the potential position of becoming your man. He doesn't automatically get that position in the benefits just because he wants it. He has to earn that,
Yes.
because according to the science, and within any species, whoever is the one that bears the children and produces the most energy with procreation is considered the prize. And a woman's time is extremely valuable. We don't have time to just date one person at a time. It is beneficial to us overall to find the best father for our children, the best mate for ourselves, to date at least 3 men at a time.
I like everything that you're saying. It very much aligns with what I tell a lot of my clients that are starting to date. When I hear my clients, oftentimes female, say, "Oh, I went on the date and I told them all these things about myself." And it's like you were selling yourself versus kind of like taking your shoulders, leaning it back, and like taking in the information. Because what I have found, which sounds very aligned with what you know, is most people will tell you everything that you need to know about them on the first date, right? I'm not interested in
Right.
having children. I'm not interested in a long term relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious. We twist that in our head and we
Mhm.
then say, no, let me tell you all the reasons that I'm amazing and that you should change the way that you're viewing this situation. And this is
Right.
all, there's such a scarcity mentality that it's like, well, let me just make good with this one.
And women instead of dating to evaluate, they date to qualify. And that's
Ooh,
the
I like
worst.
that.
Yeah, and that's the
Dating not
worst.
to evaluate, but dating to qualify. Okay. All right. That sounds like a t-shirt we need to make.
I know, right? We should come up with that. And I think when you change your mindset, that instead of does he like me? Does he like me? Am I pretty enough? And does he think I'm okay? To do I like him? What do I like about him? What is he saying to me that's sending the red flag that maybe we wouldn't be compatible? Which
Yeah.
leads me into my next point. That's the reason why you should never do dinner on the first date.
Okay. What should we
But
do
never
instead?
ever do coffee. Make it short and sweet. 45 minutes tops. See if this is the type of person that you would want to be friends with.
Yes.
See if this
Oh,
person is
perfect.
normal.
Yes.
Because on the phone, people can perform. On FaceTime, people can perform. There's an invisible aspect of being able to determine energetically, where is this person? How does my body feel? What information is my body sending to me on this person that I might not have necessarily been able to pick up with my eyes and with my senses? And so in a coffee date, you're able to say, I can't put my finger on it, but it's a no, ma'am. I
Yes.
can't go out with him again.
Yeah. Well, and there's not alcohol involved. So you're not like lowering the threshold or like talking yourself out of your intuition because it is impacted by a substance.
I'm so glad you said that because you shouldn't be drinking on the first date. But also another benefit to just doing coffee date is that when we talk about the art of seduction, it
Mm,
drives seduction. It, I talk to women about the science of attraction, right? And there's 5 phases, and there's a biochemical process to when a man falls for you. And
mm,
the bonding hormone for a man to fall for a woman is vasopressin. The bonding hormone for a man, for a woman to fall in love is oxytocin.
mhm.
Now, here's the interesting caveat. A woman will produce oxytocin early on and start bonding with the man she finds attractive simply by talking to him. Sex drives up this oxytocin, which causes her to bond to him,
Yes.
which is produced when a mommy has a baby, which causes her to bond to her baby.
Mhm.
A man is different. He can have sex and not bond to that woman. In
Yeah.
order for him to bond, he needs to produce the receptor sites that catch the vasopressin and the dopamine. And that takes at minimum 2.5 to 3 months, minimum.
Mm.
In order to allow this man to want to stick around long enough to want to get to know you until those receptor sites are produced, then that requires time, curiosity, and anticipation.
Yeah.
When you do coffee date, you're giving a little at a time. You're not satiating him. You're allowing him to think about you, to wonder about you, to want more. If I took you to an all you can eat buffet, and then another friend comes up to you after you ate and says, "Hey, I got tickets to this wonderful new restaurant and it has all your favorite food. Don't you want to come?" You're not going to want to come. You've eaten all
Yeah.
you can eat. And
Yeah.
it's the same way here. Give him something to look forward to. Not only that, there was a study that showed that when somebody drinks something warm, it primes them to see you as somebody who's nurturing, kind, friendly, and warm yourself. And so
Interesting.
when you do coffee, you're more likely, and a lot of people don't understand this. There's more than coffee at a coffee house. At most
Yeah.
coffee houses, they have tea, they
Yeah.
have hot chocolate, they have all
Yeah.
kinds of different things. Even if he doesn't drink it, what I teach my students, here's a secret. Have him always buy something warm and then ask him to hold your drink. Even if it's, "Oh, can you hold this for a second for me?" And then reach in your purse to get something. Let him
Oh,
hold, because that's also enough to prime him to think positive, warm thoughts about you as well.
wow. You do have this down to a science. I'm very impressed. You're throwing out all the hormones. You are the love doctor. Okay. So how does somebody who's listening to this know, hey, I'm ready, Shay, to give you a call or check out your stuff? How will they know what's going on for them as they're making that call to you or picking up the email to send to you?
Most women who are ready for me are the kind of woman who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. She's tried
Mm,
everything.
mm.
She's done therapy. She has done shadow work. She has bombed out after trying over and over again. She keeps attracting the same man with a different face. And
Okay.
she just wants to start getting it right. More importantly, she's dealing with love blocks within herself. There's an emptiness. There's still
Mm.
a residual pain that's still there from her childhood. And she wants to be able to heal that and become the best version of herself so that she can be ready to attract her soulmate. So when a woman is there, like she just knows something in with my message resonates with her. And then she's instantly booking a one-on-one call, or she's going to my webinar, which is free. It's a free
Okay,
webinar
great.
that teaches you how to attract a high value masculine man who's going to want to pour into you. I'm giving certain secret techniques. And at the end of the webinar, she has an opportunity to take an assessment to see if it's a good fit, and then
Okay.
book a free discovery call with one of my love specialists. And then that starts her journey to love.
Ah, so you love them enough that you give them something for free. Isn't that nice of you?
No, right?
Okay, so I know you have lots of stuff going on. I want you to give us one last secret, and then I want you to talk about the program that you have coming up. I think it's in April, right? So give us the secret and then tell them how they can get more of you.
Okay, so here's the secret. I want to break down the science really quick because I think a lot of women are completely clueless about dating and about how much the science is involved. So maybe earlier I talked about the 5 phases of every relationship. And when you
Mhm.
understand that and understand biochemically what happens at different points, it works to your advantage. So the first phase is the attraction phase. He sees you, he wants you, but really it is his desire for sex that wants you. His testosterone is
Mm,
triggered, the sex
blessed.
hormone. So women, it's lust. Exactly. Dr. Helen Fisher. And so women think that, oh, it's like the romantic movies. It's not. He's driven for sex. Then he
He's
enters
not
into the second phase.
rom-comming you, right? He's not like,
That
oh my
part.
God, she has a rainbow glow around her and I need to like make her my special person. No, it's like, she looks like she got something I want some of. Okay.
Absolutely. He's basically saying, I could sleep with her, right? The same way he would say, that hamburger looks good. I can eat that hamburger. It's literally like the same thing. And then the
Okay.
second phase is the courting phase. In the courting phase, he's doing everything in order to get her. But what happens is his testosterone is dropping and his serotonin is dropping, which means
Hmm.
he becomes more nurturing like a woman and he starts to become hooked on her. He's thinking about her all the time. And at the same time, his vasopressin and dopamine is being driven up. So he might even seem like he's really into you. But you know how you have like some of those clients, he might come to you and say, he was really into me one minute, we were
Yeah.
spending a lot of time,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he ghosts me, or
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's no longer interested in me. Well,
Yes.
he enters into the next phase called the pull away phase.
Mm.
And in the pull away phase, his testosterone has dropped so low that he needs it to rebound. So that's the phase I tell women, like, you should have a life anyways. You shouldn't even notice. When you're dating for data, if a man goes through the pull away phase, you're not even worried about it
Right.
because you only want your man. So
Mm.
when there's a connection, I promise you, he's going to come back and he's going to be even better because he would have had the gift of missing you. It would
Mm.
have drove his vasopressin up higher. And then he will be even a better man to you. So when he comes back, he's ready for commitment. And if that's your standard, he will be willing to rise to the occasion because that vasopressin has caused him to want to commit, provide, and protect. He's also
Mm.
had a drop in testosterone, which means that he does not want anybody else. So, what science says that he goes through is something called mate garden. That means that he wants to guard what is his, he wants
Mm.
to claim what is his. If a man isn't trying to commit to a woman, biochemically, he hasn't fallen for her. And
Mm.
this should happen at least within 3 months. And
Okay.
then you have the engagement and then the marriage phase. So when a woman understands that there's a science to how you behave, how you date, that there is a formula based in science, then not only is this painless, but it's much easier for her. And dating becomes much, much, much pleasurable for a woman who is dating. So you mentioned the Love Mastery Retreat, right? That I
Yeah.
have up. The Love Mastery Retreat is an immersive experience where I'm using neurolinguistic programming to help women to break patterns that have been keeping them trapped in pain, trapped in insecurities,
Mm.
trapped in not knowing their true value, even though on the outside everything looks good. So there's going to be a lot of healing, there's going to be a lot of transforming. I'm going to help women to be able to increase their feminine energy. I'm going to be doing on the spot coaching where you're going to see people transform before your eyes. We're going to
Mm.
have a high tea with Shay, which is like a very fancy luxury event. And it's just super powerful. So women come from all over the world to be able to attend that event. And that's going to be February 27th through the 30th of April. Did
Okay.
I say February? Yes, April 27th through the 30th.
It's okay. We're in February. So that makes perfect
Right.
sense. You were grounding yourself in the month you were in. Okay.
Absolutely.
I love that you have such passion for the science of love, right? I think that you make it approachable. I think that you make good sense, right? And that you're not manipulating, you're just working with the science because you can't ignore it. You're just making it part of your process. So I very much appreciate you coming on and giving us that explanation about it because I think people who are listening to that want a new resource or want a better way to understand that makes sense. And you did that so well. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much. And I so appreciate you for having me.
Of
This has been a
course. So we will put all of your information in the show notes, but where's the best place for people to make contact with you?
The best place is TikTok, Instagram, Shay Your Love Diva, and they can always go to my website at shayyourlovediva.com.
Terrific. Thank you so much. It was delightful to meet you. And if somebody's not looking at the YouTube video, they need to get on and look at your freaking suit because you're adorable.
Thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you
Have a
soon.
good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning into the D-Spot. Find me, Dr. Dana McNeil, and my guests on social media using the links down below. Subscribe for new episodes weekly and leave a comment letting us know how and if you can relate or what topics you'd like us to cover next. See you next time, and don't forget, going to therapy is cool.